Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity to speak about the mucormycosis. Usually in routine, we get every year 5 to 10 cases, but we have got in a week or maybe 3 days time 10 cases of suspected mucormycosis. So the aim is to, here is the three prevention, early diagnosis, examination and management. This has been already covered. Why in COVID? Sir has covered the inflammation and immunosuppression. There are two important is DM uncontrolled called high sugars and ferritin. Ferritin is a inflammatory marker which is very high in this patient and which is a fodder for this mucor. And then we have immunomodulatory drugs which needs to be given when there is a cytokine storm. Coming to the just pathogenesis, I will just say that it starts from the middle turbinate, and then because it has the last organ for sphenopalatine artery, from here it goes into the maxillary sinus, goes into the ethmoid sinus, then there is a lamina papyracea, from here it goes into the orbit. There from the orbit, this is a 3D orbit, we have three fissures like inferior orbital fissure, superior orbital fissure and optic nerve. And lamina papyracea, as we know, is the thinnest bone of the body. And the mucormycosis, once from the paranasal cell, erode the lamina papyracea and then goes into the orbit. And here in orbit also, in the early cases, only the bone is involved. When this is periorbita is involved and then the cone is involved, it will be in detail covered, but just the anatomy part, that where it start in the middle turbinate. So the three-pronged study is prevention, early diagnosis and proper management and follow-up. Prevention, judicious use, I will not go into it. High risk identification has been done. At time of admission, I will re-stress SB1AC, sugars, already sir has told, managing decay, adequate humidification of oxygen is important. Sometimes the oxygen is not humidified. The other thing is that this water sometimes is not changed. And in the water can be harbinger of mucormycosis. And then you can say many a time the mask is not changed. So the mask itself, if it is kept there and it is reused again without even sterilization, then it can have fungal spores and the patient are on oxygen and there is dryness in the nose. So isotonic saline spray can be given, and if not possible, washes can be done. If the patient is conscious, nasowash, 30 wash or normal washes, so that. And we have to look for, this is at the time of admission, like Demun sir said, at the time of admission, nasal crusting, blood stain discharge, facial pain, headache, unilateral facial swelling, nasal obstruction, eye swelling, eyelid swelling, vision loss, diplopia, and restricted eye movement. So just this is the very practical thing. So first we will see, and we can see that this is of the patient of mucormycosis. With naked eye, we can see there is a blackening. Here it is more clear. Within a torchlight examination, we can see there is a blackening. And then here you can see that this is the normal looking. This is a very early case where it is just that the blood supply has been, because it has angioinvasion, it blocked the blood vessel. So we can see the subtle color change, but it is possible only with the endoscope. And then when it stage progresses, the middle turbinate, the part of hanging middle turbinate goes into necrosis. And we remove this necrosed tissue and send to histopathologist, send to the QH smear to the microbiologist, and they say, yes, this is a mucor. So why it is called black fungus is this blackening. And this blackening used to dead tissue, like we know that the gangrene, like dead tissue, this is called black fungus. Otherwise, when the fungus grow, it is white with some black pigment. Then again, face examination like this. So this is the very neglected case at later stage. You can see that entire and below is, we have to see the CT scan if the maxilla is involved. At the nasal bone, sometime also you have to distinguish between the pressure necrosis, like BiPAP has been tightly administered. Then you have to see that it is a pressure necrosis or it is a blackening of fungus. Then you have to examine the oral cavity. Like you can see the bare bone, bluish, blackish coloration, and then in the orbit. So this is very simple, and without even endoscope, at least a provisional diagnosis clinically can be made. Then coming to the recent experience of last 7 days, we have around 10 patients, but 3 of them has bacterial sinusitis. because of the various issues, and we are having bacterial sinusitis also. So the difference is it will have fungal sinusitis like mucor have bloody discharge, early vision loss, symptoms more and sign are less, does not respond to antibiotic. Numbness is predominant because it invades the nerve. V1, V2, maxillary distribution of the nerve is involved. So numbness is more. And nasal endoscopy as battling. In bacterial sinusitis, there will be discharge from the nose. And when you do endoscopy, you will see nasal congestion and pus discharge. Vision loss is very less in bacterial sinusitis. You may have pain, frontal pain, cheek pain, but the late onset of vision because it is late involvement. And other thing is that in the vision there is a central lateral artery occlusion, so the vision is more involved in fungal sinusitis. In nasal endoscopy is very, very diagnostic. So this is from the only clinical features we can suspect that what it is. Microbiology ma'am will cover. I will just come to radiology. Sir has said that the MRI is important. In MRI, we have to understand the disease. We have already seen that there is a blood vessels which is being invaded. So there will be no blood supply. So whenever we do a contrast MRI, like in this case, we can see that there is a contrast here and there is no contrast uptake in this area. So the turbinate will take up contrast. If turbinate is there, you can see here, you can compare with the other side turbinate, which is very good. Here you can see that turbinate is not taking contrast. So these are the early signs, symptom of mucormycosis. So then in cases when it increase, then it can go to involve the orbit. So here you can see that the orbit is involved, as we have already discussed that lamina papyracea is eroded and then orbit is here. Like this case has been referred to us for a mucormycosis, but on examination on everything, we saw that, and also we did a deeper biopsy, it was negative, and we did a CT scan because MRI was not possible. So you can see that even then in the CT scan, there is an enhancement. But yes, if there is no enhancement, there is entire area is dark because there is no contrast uptake, then we need to be careful that it may be early mucormycosis. Surgery is to be decided once we know the extent of disease, what is the status of eye, and we have to consult ENT and ophthalmologist to know that what kind of surgery to be done, which we will come. Aggressive surgical debridement dead tissue, because the dead tissue need to be removed. The antifungal, the goal of surgery is to remove the dead tissue. No blood supply means it has to be removed because that's a fodder for mucor. So you remove till you have some bleeding. That means the tissue is vascular. In vascular area, only amphotericin B can be reached. So there are 4 grades. The one is nasal cavity. Sir has said the grading. It is just little further divided. Nasal cavity, it is very early signs. If you at this stage, you just remove the middle turbinate and a part of ethmoid sinus. I see many ENT surgeons, many of ENT colleagues here in this gathering. So grade 2 is the sinus. So you open the sinus. These 2 things are routinely done by all ENT surgeons in Uttar Pradesh, in all medical colleges and district hospital. I am pretty sure of this. Grade 3 is orbital invasion, where we need to take an ophthalmologist, that it is only lamina papyracea, what is the eye movement, which Dr. Rachna will cover. Surgery is done under general anesthesia. So the team of anesthesia should be on the same page that what is the status of COVID, what is the status of lung, what is the other things which has to be taken in consideration. And relative of the patient and the patient himself, because when you think about orbital exentration, you are removing an organ, you have to take proper consent on paper, both from the relative and from the patient himself. If the patient is unconscious, then the relative. What are the type of surgery? Like for grade 1, I said that every ENT surgeon in a state, I'm sure, can do grade 1 and grade 2 surgery. So here we can see that is a right side mucormycosis, maxillary sinus has been opened, the orbital lamina papyracea has been opened. We can see the periorbita, which is not involved. Here, the orbit is involved, so we have opened the periorbita and we can see the fat. So here, this is the nasopharynx, sphenoid sinus, this is the removed maxillary sinus. And this surgery is very, very easy as compared to other surgeries because there is no bleeding. As soon as you get a bleeding, that means in that area your job is done. So even with a minimal instrument, we can do the surgery. Then orbital excitation and other issues Dr. Rachna will cover. Facial, if there is a facial involvement, then that skin has to go and we have to do the grafting or secondarily reconstruction. Medical management has been already covered, and the SOP concerns the medical management. Intracranial accession, a few about this has been prepared by a neurosurgeon, like direct route through the ophthalmic artery, superior orbital fissure, cribriform plate, skull base, and hematogenous route. So brain imaging, when we do MRI, we see orbit very well, we see sinus very well, and also we see the brain very well. So if we know earlier that there is a brain parenchyma involvement, this is a grade 4, and the mortality rate is very high in grade 4. Then there is a T2 and T1 weighted. So in T1 and T2, both emoses, the fungus is always hypo because of the blood supply. Then MRS can also help. What are the complications? This is the complication. Patient not died because of sinus and orbital involvement. And the intracranial extension is quite late. They die because of cavernous sinus thrombosis, except from the COVID-related complications. Multiple cranial nerve palsy, vision loss, intracranial abscess, internal carotid artery is involved in the sphenoid sinus in the very late stage. So this is after, if you ignore the symptom for 1 month. For 1 week to 2 weeks, initial 1 or 2 weeks, it is usually into the sinus, at the max in the periorbita, not even the globe. So this is all from the ENT standpoint of view, that early diagnosis is the key, as told by Professor R.K. Divensha, that we have to diagnose early, and then after the diagnosis, we have to do the microbiological examination, then after that radiological examination, and low threshold for everything. If we do not have a low threshold, we get neglected cases after a month where it will be a morbid surgery, and even after the surgery and the best treatment, we cannot get the desired outcome. Thank you, sir.